Hi guys, this is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so. And if you get anything from my work, a connect, a dot, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of the description below. And if you're interested in artwork or any ways that you want an energy exchange, Scullies. AlleyCatCreations211.com is how you can go look at the portfolio on the Webby and email me if you're interested, because I do a lot of commissions. I'm almost done with the drawing that's taken me forever. I have to be in the right mind frame when I channel to draw animals or peoples. So yeah, and the world went to hell. Fun times. So yeah, please email me. Today we're going to do the message of Aquaria. Faith and works. And before I begin, I'm just going to put this out there. There are people who have very not okay, confused, misinterpreted obsessions, trolling, we could call it, that's unhealthy. I'm noticing a lot of this, and it's not in one direction. It's from a bunch of people. I really hope that you stay to listen to the words that I give you, because they're for everybody. It's a little concerning, to say the least. And I can't help what other people try to project onto me. I am transforming into something that we can't put words to just yet. And a lot of you are doing the same thing if you're on that higher timeline. I hope you enjoy my work. Thank you for giving me the watch hours and the view time. Just know what you put out will come back to you in energy. So if you think you are going to project negativity, it's going to come back to you. So don't waste your energy. Figure out and go heal and transmute whatever is going on in your life. You're projecting it onto the wrong person. Just putting that out there, because it's just frustrating. And I'm sitting here innocently just trying to freaking keep myself alive, and it's just nonstop. So just putting that one out there. For all the rest of you, thank you for supporting my work. Faith and works. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? St. Matthew. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he has faith and have not works? Can faith serve him? Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. James. Very interesting there. The word faith has been variously interpreted as being belief or mere frugality, even superstition, as confidence in a person or a thing, and more commonly to designate a particular religion, such as Christian faith, the Buddhistic faith. We, however, prefer to use St. Paul's definition. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That's a bingo right there. Faith and works are like the two ends of a magnet. Faith, the unseen, negative or attracting end, works the seen, positive, or manifested end. The substance of a thing is its soul, that which makes it alive or essentially distinguishes it. Therefore, we hope not for the temporal outer manifestation of things, but to find the reality back of them, back of all manifested life. And by faith, we pierce the enshrouding outer seeming, and with our inner senses gain evidence of that which, although not seen, really exists, just as a psychologist seeks for the motive back of every art. The motive may be unseen, yet it is potent to produce the results noted. Pause. Metaphysics. There's a lot of things that we can't perceive with these two physical eyes, but yet still exist. Radio waves, microwaves, the color spectrum, vibration and frequency. Some of us can see that, but a lot of people can't. So just putting that out there, faith is something inside. A thing hoped for, if that hope is to be more than a hope, if it is to be manifested, must be worked for and must find a channel. That which is unseen can be evidenced outwardly only by the works which it brings forth in the realm of the seen. For instance, a young tree is planted in the dark, cold earth. We see only a sapling with bare twigs, yet we are told it is a fig tree, that it is alive. We have faith that the unseen forces of life within the earth, air, water, and fire, sun, will so fill those bare and leafless branches that in the fullness of time they shall bring forth fruit. Yet we know that it requires something more than faith in those unseen forces if the tree is to bear perfect fruit. For the forces in nature, unaided by man, will produce only wild fruit, small, imperfect, bitter, with little nourishment. Therefore, if the unseen works of God are to come into evidence in perfection, man must provide adequate channels for the expression of his faith, or all that is hoped for cannot be evidenced. He must add to his faith works, must dig around the tree, must prepare the soil, must fertilize it, must protect it from rodents, from insects, from blights. So with the manifesting of our tree of life within, only as we perform the works necessary can the forces of its life make our faith manifest in perfection. Only so can our tree bring forth in our lives the things hoped for. Yet since we have compared faith to the soul or real substance, we must not merely hope someday to realize the inner life or substance of that which we believe, but we must realize that since the soul of man is a substance or real self, and the outer personality but a manifestation in earth conditions, if we are to prove to ourselves that our faith really a living factor or true, we must definitely seek to correlate with its substance, the soul or real self. For if we plant a sapling as a fig tree, and it is not, no matter how many people tell us it is a fig tree, it cannot become one, nor can all our faith or powers of heaven force it to bring forth figs. Therefore, we must go deeper than merely to believe all that we are told. We must use our God-given intuition to know the true nature of that which is offered to us as a fig tree. This will be the realization of a living faith, faith in the power of the divine self within us to discriminate and recognize the essential nature or soul or substance of things hoped for in all things. Pause. Hi. All my TikToks, I tell you to go inside and heart align, 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 align with whatever you're taking in objectively, without a bias, without a motive, without any of this grasping onto your ego telling you that this seems off. Your intuition will only work well when you go into yourself without your ego and you are objective with what you are seeking to align with and have faith in. The problem where there's a lot of misconceptions in this world is when we have concepts and programming and indoctrination that we have yet to shed. And we have a belief because we want something to be so, because we have an obsession on somebody, we have a liking to people or a movement or whatever, a community, and you hold those ideals so tightly within inside of you that you can't outwardly objectively perceive in all angles. You're not taking the eagle-eye view to look down, to look to see if it all resonates within, because you have a bias or an egotistical attachment to something. That takes a lot of time and a lot of introspection to dissolve. Okay, when you put your faith and you give it to source and you use your intuition, you go into your divinity of self, there is no bias because God is all things, because source is in all things. God makes up it all. But when we start using judgment and we start making accusations, pointing fingers, everything has a cause and effect and a reason for it happening. God's having an expression out of you. So if you're unhappy with your life, like I'm having a very difficult time right now. Once again, all the cycles that I thought I healed and let go, oh, here they are to bite me up in the ass, and it's affecting everything in my outside inner world too. I'm being shooken up like the worst terror moment you can have. Okay. I still have faith that this is like, I'm not coming the F back to this shit stain of an existence, and I'm moving on up. And at this point, I'm excited for that transition to happen. But I know it within myself that things are going to get better. I have faith in source that I'm working towards my obtained goal alone. It's up to us to go within objectively, to stop accusing or using your ego or having your head fly off the handles. And I know I'm not perfect. I do it too. We're human after all. But I can actually, after I run through those things in my mind, I can actually calm me down and go, okay, what is the bigger picture here? What is the whys? What is the deeper lesson? What is God needing me to see here? And then things start being more apparent where I'm not shaming and blaming other people. Anywho, the whole point of why I stopped was that you have a God-given intuition to know the true nature is. You can't go to an acorn tree and transmute it and with alchemy to make it a maple tree. It doesn't happen that way because the seed has certain ingredients inside of it to transform into an acorn tree, not a maple. When we are dealing with other beings that are fractals of ourselves, we're still in duality, we're still in polarity. We can't force somebody to like you or to respect you or to support you. You would hope that people are like you and exude and take examples from the things that you do on your everyday life that are examples of how humanity should be. but we don't necessarily live in a society that is up to that standard yet. We're not. We can't force anybody to do anything against their will, and if you do, it's usually with a weapon. And it's not something free-willed within them, even though it's a predestined choice anyway. It's all a for experience. Wrap your head around that one too. But in essence, like, you can't force your will upon somebody. And if you do, it's usually not in the, it's usually in a negative sense. You can't make someone love you. You can't make somebody attracted to you. You could put a glamour and spell cast all day long, and that eventually wears off. I know a lot of people who try doing that nonsense, and it's, at the end of the day, is that moralistically right? Can't force somebody to love you. You can't force somebody to want to respect you. You got to move away from those people, because those people have a lot of healing to do, and you're on a different path and a different journey. And people do fall out of love. People do fall out of relationships. Everybody does change. If you're not ready to make those changes in your life to be better, or to transform yourself and empower yourself, once again, God-given intuition, you got to go and align with all in your gut. The substance of things hoped for. I could go and pull Bashar, but I won't. Anyway, back to the book, sorry. Conversely, if we see a tree bringing forth certain fruit, we know that it is that particular kind of tree and no other. Matter what other name the nurserymen may attach to it, or how it's been misrepresented by those who have an interest in doing. In other words, we judge the tree by its works or fruits, for the fruits are the acum of the tree's expression, and prove the tree, even though some of its leaves may be imperfect or may wilt and fall. The same is true of ourselves. Our fruits are our works, are the best expression of the unseen self we have been able to manifest, even though they are far from that which we hoped for. Not what we think, what we intend, but what we do, what we accomplish, what we express is the manifested us, for the world can know us only by our fruits, our works. And conversely, the works of a man, a society, movement, or order represents that man, society, movement, or order. No matter what anyone may say about them, and no matter how many imperfections or limitations they may have, do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Then he shall reward every man according to his works, to every man according to his deeds. So for those out there who are religious and who are always preaching Jesus, hi, Yeshua has been very much with me the last couple of weeks. Are you walking in your everyday truth as if you are walking Jesus's path? Yeshua, he's kicking me. Yeshua's path. Are you? You claim to know the works of Yeshua. You claim to follow every hanging on to the words that are misinterpreted, by the way, very, very bad. But if you look at what he was trying to deliver, he's going and healing people, didn't matter who they were. He wasn't afraid of them. He was doing works. He was being a common playing field for everybody. Are you doing the same thing? Are you walking the path, or are you just claiming that you do because you're a good, whatever faith you belong to, whatever religion you belong to, oh, you're great because you go to church and you dedicate yourself to a practice. It's beautiful. But are you living those each and every day? Words coming out of your mouth, are you holding the vibratory state of Yeshua? Because it's pretty damn high to match. To keep that state of frequency that he left with, holy shit. Okay, if you look at the energy scales, his energy is very extremely high. So if you are to try in your everyday human life in this society, in this now moment, are you walking his words? Are you walking his deeds? Or are you trapped in your own self-delusion and illusions that are being projected to you, and you're not doing the work on yourself to know why things are falling apart in your life or why people are reacting to you in a very interesting way? I'm getting a lot of this in the collective. I think this is why I'm reading this and not a wasp bag. I'm just not in the mood to get that book out, to be frustrated. I already had a very interesting, very frustrating kind of day. But to every man according to his deeds. Are you going out and doing Amish mindset each and every day? Like I said, it doesn't need to be financial. If you are backing somebody. So the other day, I'm sorry, I'm going off the book, but I think this is very relevant to why I'm reading this. The other day, I get these impulses to go to certain places. And now that I'm new here, I'm only, this is going to go on year 2 now, January, but I haven't really, the first year that I moved here, I really didn't get to go out and explore because it was freezing, it was winter. I was moving everything into the house slowly, repairing, and it's just me. I'm just doing it all myself. So it took a long time. So now I'm starting to get my feet wet and going to places. And I finally took the step to go to the cat cafe down the block from me. And there was a couple of missions that I needed to do. I wanted to look to see what the vibe was, because it's coming to the time where I need some more protection spiritually. Little Thor is adorable, and he doesn't want to stay inside. His purpose is for outside. So I'm looking for, it doesn't need to be kittens. I'm looking for cats, just to rescue, because that's the kind of nature I am. I don't know how much this place seems like it's expensive. Like their drinks are expensive, but I bought a shirt and I bought hair clips and stuff, very cheap. And I got to meet the owner. We got to talking, and she's going to take my business card and, promote my drawings and stuff. And I'm going to also donate a very expensive kidney food that Morgan never ate. I'm going out with my deeds because I know that I have something that I cannot use, that I paid a lot of money for, that other people can benefit from. I also want to go out and rescue I'm probably going to try to get 2 cats. And what a better place, in a place that is super friendly, and it's so warm and cozy, and it's really, it's a great atmosphere. And I didn't give it a chance because I had Morgan and I had Ethan at the time. Me and cats, like, I want to take them all. Again, I'm learning how to not do that. But I wanted to go and make myself available to, hey, I have a donation. Will you be able to take this in the first place? Absolutely. Here's an exchange. There's like an even exchange here. Oh, you will get, well, I could definitely pass out your business cards. You do gorgeous drawings. See, there's like a return there. If more people would be like that and interested in working with others, but in an equal way and not overbearing on one side to another, and nothing needs to be equal, But I know for myself, the deeds that I have put out my entire life, it's usually me always going and extending, always going and doing and giving my time, which is a lot of energy, by the way, to people, places, and things that don't even respect me back. And yeah, I needed to be in their purpose, and I needed to be there for a direction they needed, but it still sucks. So hopefully I get rewarded when I ascend. Hopefully. But just think about why I mentioned that. It's because we according to your work doesn't mean going to work. It goes, what are you doing that's good in the world? What frequency are you projecting out in the world? What are you trying to achieve in this world? Not everything needs to be physical, okay, to be a work. Are you enlightening people? Are you seeding people truth? What are you doing on an everyday basis that's positive and you're uplifting humans? That's really what I'm getting at. And that's what's being looked at on a bigger scale. The only one that judges is you. That's a sad fact. Anywho, as we continually point out, every law that we see manifesting in nature, we may expect to see manifesting in men. For men is a part of the grand choir singing the great psalm of life, which has been sung by all creation since the morning stars sang together to greet the dawn of our present day of manifestation. Oh boy. But because man is the highest evidence of things not seen, which evolution has unfolded and manifested on earth, it is possible for him to sing his part in the paean of divine manifestation more perfectly, for he can sing understandingly and by note that which nature sings only instinctively by ear. Man may be likened to the musical staff on which a symphony is written. His five senses may be compared to the 5 lines of the staff, while the 4 spaces between the lines may be likened to 4 elements: fire, air, water, earth. These elements are continually playing their unseen part in the melody, yet man must learn to use his 5 senses to listen, to understand, and to interpret the notes that fall in the spaces as well as those that fall upon the lines. Above the 5 line senses is the infinite ether of space, which is forever impinging upon man's senses, but of which he is usually aware only as vague yearnings, because it transcends his physical senses. Below the staff there are also many notes written in deep emotions of longings unspeakable, of experiences garnered of suffering and pain. But if man endeavors to interpret the symphony of life through faith, through aspiration, he may reach up to the note of infinite harmony, joy, and ecstasy, and join in the angelic choir, forever singing around the great white throne. But he must also learn that the notes below the staff are necessary to complete the melody. Therefore, to express the melody aright, man must learn to listen to all the notes and sound them clear, true, and understandingly. But also, alas, many hear only the notes that fall upon the lines, senses, and all the other notes remain unheard. To them, the psalm of life seems imperfect or even discordant, yet all the notes can be heard by faith and expressed in life through works. While we are singing the same grand symphony, yet each has his own part, and each has implanted within exactly the ability needed to fit him to perfect and express his part. The great law never expects us to gather grapes from thorns nor figs from thistles, and just as surely must each one bring forth the fruit of his own perfected life. If we try to imitate another, we fail to bring forth our own fruit. And when the Lord of life passes by seeking figs and finding none, he will command that the barren fig tree be cut down, not as punishment or a curse, but because, as the parable illustrates, of a manifested law, that unless each individual gathers the forces of life and puts forth all possible effort to utilize his powers to grow and bring forth the fruit that is the natural result of his stage of evolution, he is not only failing himself, but is encumbering the ground, is so misapplying the force of the great evolutionary urge within him that all mankind is held back. Be your authentic self. Do you. Be you in all its beautiful form and glory. Stop worrying about other people judging you.
Oh, she's so ugly. She's this, she's that, he's this, he's that.
Sparkle farts. Glittery sparkle farts. Seriously, stop worrying about what other people try to project on you. Because I sure effing don't. I just don't like drama, because people in their thought forms love to attack me. And boy, my team is getting a little tired up there, and it's the warriors that are out right now trying to clear things away. And I don't want innocent people who are just not in the higher awareness understand. Just stop. Seriously, just stop. Because you look at me and you don't see the infinite all, the divinity within me, and I look at everybody as an aspect of God and the divinity. Everybody. So I don't have that problem. But some people like to project things, and then upstairs, my team goes out and does some battles because I am the warrior in the garden. It is not fun, and I don't want that. So just stop your nonsense. Haters, trolls, negative things. Just, it's not worth it. The parable of the barren fig tree is frequently misunderstood. It was not cursed in the way which the faulty interpretation seems to imply, for we are told the time of figs was not yet, and it would surely be most unjust to curse a tree because it did not bear fruit out of season. The true interpretation is revealed in the 13th verse of the passage, where we are told that the tree had plenty of leaves, and yet there were no signs of fruit. When a fig tree is full of leaves, there should, in the natural course of events, be figs forming, or at least blossoms, even if the full time for ripe figs was not at hand, for the buds must come first, then the leaves, then the blossoms, and later the fruit. One of the functions of the leaves being to protect the ripening fruit. Hence, the symbology of the parable is that each soul who is planted in the vineyard of the Lord and is enriched and tended for 3 seasons or 3 periods during which the body, mind, and spirit have been given special attention or special opportunities for unfoldment and advance, and yet fails to advance. When the Lord of life comes to the soul seeking figs and finds none, because that soul has used all its forces in making a great show that will attract the attention or admiration of the world, mere leaves, be they never so beautiful, the great law as karma will surely entail upon the soul, which may seem to be cursed, namely that it shall not be able to bear fruit and meet the requirements of the Lord of life when it desires to do so. That is, in the next incarnation, such a one will greatly desire spiritual development, but it will find himself so environed that it will be almost impossible to obtain or manifest. Before I go on, I had to pause because right behind my computer, there's old windows, and I had a baby bird. I didn't know what it was, because I have my stuff blacked out kind of, and when I had to go out, baby bird, it was adorable. The little things in life. Anywho, moreover, whenever or wherever the life force are not used to create and bring forth the threefold law of life, creation, preservation, and disintegration, naturally removes the things that cannot or will not use the forces to bring forth. It must die out. For disintegration is just as surely a part of the law of life as creation and preservation. A study of all nature will confirm this, and also the wonderful interactions of the threefold life stream. In southern climates where life is exuberant and riotous, we see many buzzards hovering in the air, keeping watch for every animal that may die, that its carcass may be consumed, lest it spread disease and death. Hence, a little thought will show how these three threads of life are interwoven. For that which removes the dead and decaying carcasses preserves the pure life atmosphere, and from the carcasses new creative life springs forth. While in more northerly climates, the carcass can more safely be left to enrich the soil and thus create new life and preserve the equilibrium. Keyword. Inquire of the earth, the air, and the water, of the secrets that hold for you. The earth corresponds to the physical senses, which take cognizance of only those things which impinge upon them. The air represents the aspirations of the heart, which reach up in longing to the throne of God. The water is a symbol to us of love, ever changing and unstable on earth, yet in its divine aspect, ever constant and unfathomable as the ocean. The fire is the flame of the spirit in our hearts, that which warms our hearts and without which the melody of life will ever be flat and lifeless. The world is today passing through an era in which great power is given unto Satan under the Ouroboros and ignoramus title of the devil. This is an era, therefore, in which evil has great power for a short time, because it is working out its own extinction. This is true. Satan, who is in reality Saturn, they're taking the Gnostic stance here, one of the sons of light, manifesting as stern justice, must and does lead and marshal these powers of darkness and guides them to our own destruction. Yet he leads them in love, for it requires a divine love for one of the sons of God to accept a task involving so much misunderstanding, ignominy, and continuing. I don't know that word, and I'm not going to try to project that. As the guidance of evil to its own destruction, for love is God, and is the consuming Buddhic fire for all that is not in harmony with it. The tree of evil, planted by man in the soil of earth, has reached its harvest time, and only as it bears its characteristic fruit, and the mass of mankind who do not follow their intuition eat it, can they prove that its fruit brings suffering and death instead of joy and life. The whole world must taste of this harvest in a measure, for everyone has had something to do with the planting and nourishing of its baneful growth. Even if one has merely stood by and permitted evils to go on unchecked, he must in a measure suffer, just as one must who sees the harvest of his neighbor ravished by insects. yet does nothing to check their spread until they overrun his own field. Yes or no? Evil is source. Source is all things. Source came into polarity, created polarity to have an experience of both its darker aspects and its lighter aspects. We keep looking at Satan as this boogeyman. We confuse what Lucifer is. We get confused because these books are inverting a lot of the hidden occult meanings to things, and then we call it Masonic, and then we bash it because it's evil when it's all source. So stop your shit. It's all source. It's what you align with. They're ascending too. They're just not ascending to the light. They're ascending to the dark. Still the same process. Still of source. Eventually, they have to transmute their energy to light after a certain density anyway, according to Ra, and I know that to be innately for my own self. When you think everything is out to get you, it's an illusion. This is all an illusion. We have to, I mean, as much as that, I agree with a lot of what they're saying. Take it the step further. We're learning the what we prefer over what we don't. All is a walking experience. You walk into this world with nothing but an indoctrinated program that's your DNA, that's your parents, that's your atmosphere, your environment, your state, your city, your country, and you're given all these languages and religion, and you don't have a choice. You're following in the footsteps of others, your whole lineage. And a lot of us are up to that task to end that bullshit because it's not going to serve us moving forward. Not all of it's BS, but most of it is. And when you can't walk this world in your authentic self, doing you to its fullest extent with the highest excitement in the here and now moment, not yearning for things that you cannot obtain because it is an illusion. You want to manifest somebody in your life, don't put a figure or don't have a type. When you're obsessed over somebody, ask yourself why. When someone falls out of love with you, ask why. There's a reason for it. Maybe you're evolving, maybe they're evolving. With life, death is going to happen. These people that keep claiming that you're going to 5D in your human body, you're not. I'm sorry, you're not. And if you do, great, you went and shifted to another parallel Earth that I'm not aware of. And good for you if you do. But I know in my paradigm that I perceive, this body don't want to be here no more. I want to transcend. I want my pattern moment, or I want something, whatever I signed with Source, that contract, that ironclad contract I have, I want it being played out, but things got to change. So I'm going to revise some things, and I'm going to be excited when I move up. I want to go back to my original form, and it's going to take me a long time to get there, but I can't. I'm excited. Death is a natural process. Life, plants die, animals die, we die. It's a cycle of life. Lion King people. But we got to understand, we Our thoughts create things. So when they speak of the devil, you're creating the devil. When you're speaking demons, you're creating them. You're speaking it into will to power, speaking into manifestation to have a cause and effect. And then it could be possessive. It could be obtrusive. I mean, there's so many paranormal shows going on that people are filming and mocking dead people and energies instead of just honoring their passing and honoring their death. And some of them do need their stories to be told, and then they pass over and they're gone. It's not gone. They're just transcending to get to the higher densities. When you get stuck on the lower fourth, we're right now in the lower fourth. So I mean, there's a whole bunch of us going through a lot of like, what the hell did I hear? Is that like, who's here? Hi. I'm not afraid of them. Just like, can I help you? But you got to give me some space and stop trying to freak me out, because I want to help you if I can. But what are you bringing to this planet? Are you going to bring a fruit that's unique to you, your energy signature, or are you going to just go with the herd and source will not necessarily look you by? It will never do that, but it might say, well, you didn't learn what you needed to, and you're going to repeat. And which there's no right or wrong, so it's fine. But I know for me, I am aware I am not repeating. I don't want to repeat, so I've got a lot of things to change. And I know a lot of you are in the thick of it too. That's why I'm taking this chapter to speak on certain things. So many things are misinterpreted, and people take things absolutely literal without going in and diving a little deeper within yourself. And my perception might not be yours, and that's okay, but like, go into your heart space. This is like, Saturn is the great tester. It is his part in divine plan to further the redemption of man by helping him to eat of the fruits of his own sowing and experience the bitter results, that he may be ready the sooner to turn from them and learn to seek the fruits of the tree of life, knowing only too well that man will use his God-given free will to eat first of the forbidden fruit, and will only turn to the tree of life when he needs healing and saving from himself. Hence, at the end of every great race and subrace, all that has been planted, both of weeds and golden grain, the tares and the wheat, which has grown together until the close of the season cycle, must be made ready for the sickles of the angels who are reapers. For only by their fruit works can we surely know them. Saturn, therefore, not the devil. The devil is a synthesis of the evil created by man, which Saturn is helping man to reap, and his testing is absolute justice. The sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan, Saturn, was among them. The sons of God are the planetary deities, or the seven expressions of the one white light, each with his own work to do toward the evolution of man and the cosmos. Only this understanding of them can we keep the words quoted from clashing with the often repeated statement that Jesus was the only begotten Son of God. While the planetary deities are the sevenfold expression of the one Godhead, just as love, justice, etc., may be expressions of one man, the Christ as manifested by Jesus is the only begotten Son of this one Godhead, begotten, not made, being of one substance with the Father, by whom all things are made. If we consider the planetary rulers as manifestations of the one God, working his will and gathered before the Lord, manifesting each in his appointed time and manner before the Lord, or in accordance with the great law, we will understand why there were sons of God and why Saturn was one of them. Today we are reaping under Saturn the harvest of all that man has sown during the long period of Saturn's reign, because his cycle is now ended and we are passing out of his influence and coming under the reign of the occult planet Uranus, however you want to pronounce it. Saturn comes therefore just as he came in the story of Job, from going to and fro on earth, and each soul who has professed the name of Christ and called himself a follower of Christ must be especially tested. No one can say that he is one with the divine law as long, like Job, he is hedged about on every side and blessed in the works of his hands. Therefore, he has completed his redemption and is ready for the great sun initiation symbolized by the story of Job. He must pass through the testings of Saturn. Behold, all that he hath is in thy Saturn's power. This testing comes in love and in perfect justice. It is a fire of divine love, which, while it consumes all that is evil, nevertheless quickens every seed of good. It is justice, because each one is tested according to the work he was expected to accomplish. And many of us are going through those tests right now. Many of us are being tasked to end ancestral, other concurrent lives. And ancestral, it's all happening concurrently. There is no past per se. We perceive it in linear time as past, present, future. But there is no such construct in the higher densities. And when we understand everything has a parallel split, that you're vibrating and shifting in milliseconds, you don't even aware that you're shifting constantly. And it's shifting in either direction. Many of us who are not coming back in human form again are getting our last cycle tests. And they're really rough and tough. But I think a lot of us are going to graduate and not have to be back in human form again, because we're going to elevate and advance ourselves. So this is kind of the upgraded scale version of what I'm saying to what they're saying. Because when they wrote this, it was a very, very long time ago. And let's just face it, is Saturn really a planet, or is it an energy that is a part of our construct to help us understand all of this? And I think it's that. We're being put to task. I know what I am set to accomplish is something I don't know just yet, but I know what I already have accomplished in my soul's mission is morphing and jumping and quantum leaping right now. And the heaviness of that is just, I feel unsupported. I feel that I put myself at 100,000,000% and on it with so many people. And when I hit disparity, and this is the second time this has happened within 2 years, it's like cockroaches, just, and I'm left alone going, okay, now where did I make my mistakes? Was I overgiving? But that's just my nature. I'm a good person. I like to give. I like to be out there. I like to expend myself to help others, but it is a fine line that I have to find to where I'm comfortable doing me and being authentic with it, but not having the cockroach effect where I'm being taken advantage of and being taken for a fool, even though that's one of my tarot cards. So yeah, that we're there energetically. Man does the same thing in his physical works. He tests every so-called inanimate thing needed to accomplish a work. If he builds a bridge, every span is tested to bear a strain for greater than any it will probably be subjected to. Every beam, every rivet has its severe test, according to the work it is expected to do. We do not test a knife that is made to cut bread for the hangry, and I said hangry, the hungry, in the same way we test a bridge span destined to carry much traffic over the river that separates us from the promised land. Yet each will and must pass through the fire and be fitted for its own work. If we conceive of all these materials as sentient lives, with little understanding of what structure they are to be a part, and hence unable to grasp the reasons why they should thus be tested and be subjected to almost unbearable strains, we will see that they differ but little from man, except in degree. Perhaps we will then cease to murmur and blame God or Satan for our seemingly unjust treatment. For blessed is the man who thou chastened, O Lord, and teachest him out of thy law. It's true, though. Angry. I mean, you can't really use a butter knife to cut a steak that's like cooked, like if it's raw, or that a little easier. But it's the truth. We are tested and brought to limits that God knows that we signed up for these things anyway, but we forget. So when we are being tested, like for me, I've been going into contemplation and introspection a lot in the last couple of weeks to like, okay, why did this happen to me? Like, why out of nowhere did this change? Like, what happened? What's going on with my health? What's going on with this? What's going on with that? What all the scenarios that are popping up in my life right now? And it's like, okay, this is like very familiar from 2 years ago. I persevered through that, and I transformed. I just didn't think I was going to be thrown back into the fire so quickly. I thought I was going to be given a little bit of a break. But I'm being challenged with why I'm around certain people, and if do I need to move, to not move physically. I'm done doing that. But move on to different aspects of my life I have yet to explore. I'm going out and networking as much as possible. Is it working? What am I not doing? Like trying to be imaginative on how to expand myself. And a lot of us are in that stage right now. I'm not alone in feeling this. A lot of us are going through the dark night of the soul. And it's because we are now shedding a lot of things that are no longer worth saving. It's just about the release. But when you learn, you're walking through the experience, you're gaining the wisdom. And sometimes that wisdom doesn't come right away. I know for me, things take sometimes years to even figure out. But we're being battle ready. We're being hardened for a reason. We're being tested to the extremes for a reason. I know for myself, and I know the real reasons. I don't like them, but I don't have a choice with what I am and know that I am. The aspect of me, okay, not we're all one, but individuated aspects of source. I know where I fit into that facet. And like I said, stop projecting your hate or your animosity or whatever is going on towards me, because you're only going to reflect it back to you. For those of you who are doing that, because I know there's some trolls out there and you have no idea. When the passing conditions of the world today are over, and the nations, the leaders, the churches, societies, religions, orders, and individuals have passed through the great testings of Saturn, oh boy, that which remains will be pure gold. the grains of truth gathered for the planting of the new era. All that was good and wholesome will have been stored up to feed the new race, and those trees which have borne good fruit, no matter if during the testing, heat, and drought some of their leaves have faded, will take their places as food producers for the new humanity, just as the famous horticulturist, totally can't get that word out, Luther Burbank, has gathered from every country in the world thousands of wild trees and plants and is cultivating and testing them and endeavoring to bring them to such perfection that they shall add to the food supply of our future generations. If we have helped and fed the spiritually hungry and the food has nourished their souls, then our trees will stand. If, on the other hand, we have wasted our time shaking from other trees their ripening fruit and trampling it in the mire, and have brought forth little or our own, and that little is acrid and unnourishing, even though we conscientiously believe the fruit we destroyed was not as good as it might have been, we must confront the new day hungry and lacking. The fruit that this order is bearing season after season has been bitterly attacked on several occasions. Yet the tree still stands and flourishes and brings forth increasing crops each year. But as Saturn's cycle closes and gates of the new day are opening, we have an opportunity to establish the order in a permanent way. All the force of opposition to light and freedom is stirring up afresh. Therefore, let no one be dismayed if he finds again and again attacked by those who stand for autocracy in religious thought and against the spiritual freedom and liberty of conscience and the individual guidance from within, which this order advocates. It will be but another testing of Saturn, but it need have but little effect if everyone who has eaten and been nourished by its fruits will give of his love, gratitude, and devotion to protect it. We ask all who wish to help thus to repeat the protecting invocation morning, noon, and night, and put around the order, its founders, and its students a rampart of divine love, realizing that since divine love is also divine fire, no human mind need decide whether the tree be good or evil, for the fire will consume all that is evil, quicken all that is good, and cause it to put forth more abundantly, and also protect it from the vicious insects that would destroy it. Divine fire is a spiritual force which alone can purify and redeem the world in these troubled times. The use of the protecting invocation is therefore constructive in the highest sense. We do not have to fight evil or think of the personalities through whom evil is manifesting, or of those who are inharmonious, who persecute us, or even of our own so-called enemies, if we have any. All we have to do is to use this invocation and see ourselves and the order surrounded by living flame, and rest assured that it will consume all the evil it contracts, and at the same time will stimulate and bring forth all the germs of good that exist, even in the hearts of evildoers, also in ourselves. Only when the days of testing are over, Saturn's reign, can there be peace on earth, goodwill toward men under the influence of the mystical planet Uranus. The planetary configuration which some time since alarmed so many, namely the position of Uranus on one side of the sun and all the other planets on the other side pulling against it, announced not a physical cataclysm as some feared, although many minor disasters have resulted, but the terrific and united opposition of all that pertains to the old order of things, the old cycle under Saturn, to the manifestation of the deeper occult, spiritual, and mystical forces and teachings of the new day, all of which are ruled by Uranus, and which are at this time already finding themselves entangled in the last testings of Saturn. In other words, all teachings, societies, orders, specifically All pertaining to the occult or spiritual must stand or fall according to their fruits. For the mighty whirlwind of earthly opposition to all things belonging to the new day is already shaking the branches of the various trees, and only those whose roots are sunken deep in the soil of spiritual realities, in faith in the power of things not seen, and anchored around the rock of truth, can stand the testing. And that ends that section. Next time, crossing the Jordan. That should be interesting. So guys, sorry for all the ranting and some pauses. I have little birds pecking at my window that is not sturdy whatsoever, and we have storms incoming. So I do apologize. A lot of stuff, I was just feeling spirit really coming through me a second ago. Like I get teary-eyed and want to cry when they're just, so they're with me. Again, I'm just a conduit. I'm a messenger from source. I work directly through my higher selves and oversoul with source, here to deliver messages to you guys and just to personalize it, and walking through the wisdom and experience that I'm going through as raw as it can get. So it's just a perspective. Take it. If it doesn't, leave it. But their work is nonetheless fantastic. I love them, and I hope you guys loved it too. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within. Be the shoulder for somebody to lean on, physically and also spiritually. Be the lighthouse for others, because you need to shine your light. Seed your truths, because you never know what you say might not hit somebody right then and there, but it will eventually seep in and mature into a beautiful blossom. So guys, thank you for sharing, liking, and subscribing to my channel. Thank you all for the support, all of you out there that support me. When I say I don't feel supported, it's from certain people that I kind of expect a little bit more out of in terms of energy exchange. I'm not talking about the vast majority of people who watch me and support me. So please don't take it in that way when I say those things. You know, times are tough for everybody. I'm going through the thick of it. I just have to find where my balance is. So I'll get there. And I hope you all had a wonderful and fantastic weekend. Be safe and be seen. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.